this video around Halloween time, doing it October. But I was sitting here, I was like, that is so far away. We're coming into June now, so I really want to wait 4 months. I was really excited to talk about this topic. So I really want to wait 4 months to talk about this. No, we'll do a spooky topic, not in October. It can be done. So I want to talk today about ghost stories, or some things that have happened in my life that I'm unable to logically explain away. It's obviously a very complicated and controversial subject, and I'm not going to dive into my own personal religious or spiritual beliefs, but I've always had sort of a fascination with the idea of the paranormal, just in general. And growing up, I watched a lot of ghost hunting shows, like Ghost Hunters, the original, Taps back in the day, and then Ghost Adventures. I'm a big fan of Ghost Adventures, although for the most part I only consume it as entertainment, not really, because I think it's some intellectual pursuit of whether or not the afterlife exists. But obviously it's one of those things that everybody has their own opinion on, whether or not ghosts, spirits, whether that's a real phenomenon or imagined, right? I've done a ghost hunt before on this channel. I'll put a screenshot of the video here. Obviously didn't really catch anything there. We had a couple EMF spikes. I did one other ghost hunt well before that, not on video. I was a teenager. Nothing happened then either. I'd like to do more in the future. Perhaps on my second channel, which, if you're watching this video, my second channel, the first video over there has officially been posted. I'll be doing weekly non-ASMR videos over there. But, I'm sort of a skeptical person in general. I've had a number of unexplained things happen to me. One of them a bit more extreme than the others. So personally, I do tend to believe in ghosts. Although I believe that a majority of people who claim to have a paranormal experience, I believe that a majority of those can be explained away. And even most, or maybe all of the personal experiences I've had that I'm going to talk to you about today can be explained away, perhaps. At the end of the day, you don't know. So I just want to bring up 5 sort of experiences I've had in my life that I consider unexplainable circumstances, and I'd love to hear in the comments any experiences any of you may have had with ghosts, even UFOs, Bigfoot, any sort of supernatural phenomenon. But let's start with my earliest recollected experience, and this would have happened to me. I would have been probably in 7th or 8th grade when this happened. was staying the night at my friend's house, and I was staying there the night after his dog had passed away. The dog died of old age. They put the dog down. The next night I came over and stayed the night, and it was me and this friend, we'd stay up late into the night, like playing video games and stuff. We'd have an Xbox hooked up to his TV. He had a laptop. This would have been, we were playing like classic WoW, Gunbound, those types of games. And it was quite late at night, probably midnight, 1 a.m., sometime like that. And we started smelling like just a bad, like wet dog smell, would be the best way to describe it. Kind of sulfuric even. And he and I were sitting on his bed, so it was like his bed. And then we're sitting on his bed looking at his TV, which was across from his bed. And like, if this, my finger is the length of the bed, he was sitting here, I was sitting here, and then the space in the middle between us was empty. So we started smelling this wet dog sulfuric smell, and we both remarked on it. And like, we opened his door to look around to see if we could find the source of the smell. And we couldn't. It was, it smelled bad out in the hallway as well, not just in his room. But we couldn't, like, nobody was cooking something in the kitchen. It just came suddenly. And, so as we're sitting on his bed again, one of us here, this space between us all of a sudden depresses, like that, but on the top, like something had plopped down between the two of us, kind of like a dog. And we both just shot up because obviously that was very unexpected. We both jumped up like we were freaking out. We ran out of his room, and we ran and got his older cousin. Because his cousin lived with him. And we came back into his room to show the older cousin, and the bed was completely normal by the time we got back. So obviously the implication there, the idea we had, was that the spirit of his recently deceased dog was sitting there between us on the bed as we were playing video games on the TV. So yeah, just that's the first experience I can really remember. Now I had a couple of things happen at my childhood home I grew up in. One of these was a recurring thing that happened, I don't want to say frequently, but it happened at least a few times every year. And this phenomenon would only happen when I was home alone. But what's interesting is other members of my family have also said they've experienced this. And it wasn't until I brought it up that it happened to me that they said something about it. So it's not like we were all like talking about it or something. It took me bringing up that I had experienced this, and then my mom was like, oh yeah, that's happened to me. And my live-in girlfriend at the time said that it happened to her when she was home alone. Right. And that was that we would hear footsteps opposite floor of the house. So if I was home alone and I was on the first floor of the house, it was a 2-story house, I would hear footsteps upstairs. I'd go upstairs, I would check. I knew, like, my parents weren't home, my brothers weren't home, nobody was home. Footsteps upstairs. And if I was upstairs, I would hear the footsteps downstairs, like somebody walking around in the kitchen or something downstairs. And that exact phenomenon with that same set of circumstances, you know, it being on the opposite floor of the house from you. Like I said, 2 other people that I talked to in my family said that they had experienced the exact same thing again, only when they were home alone. So that was a very interesting phenomenon, but again, that's something that you could very easily rationalize away. This is one that only happened to me one single time. But it was, I was upstairs, my mom was downstairs cooking dinner. She called up, she was like, hey, dinner's ready. So I was like, okay, so we had a bathroom on the upstairs and downstairs. So I leave my room upstairs, I go to the upstairs bathroom and I wash my hands. You know, before dinner you wash your hands. I turn off the sink, I go to the bottom of the stairs. And when I get to the bottom of the stairs, I hear the sink turn back on. Now again, I could have just forgotten to turn the sink off or something like that, or, you know, there's any number of things that could have been explained away, but yeah, that was the one experience. And now these last 2 are a little bit more substantial. These are the ones that I've had that make me a little bit less skeptical and a little bit more like, okay, I think there's something here, even if I don't necessarily understand what it is. So one of these, my girlfriend at the time was over at my house, and I think it was just the 2 of us there. I think my parents were gone for the weekend, we had the house to ourselves. Just the 2 of us. I'm not sure exactly what the circumstances were. And we were downstairs and we were having an argument about something. And the argument was getting pretty, like, heated. It was, you know, we were getting elevated emotionally in the argument. And it was really strange because, like, we both felt this, we both experienced this, but it's like the room got darker. Now the lights didn't turn off, the lights were on still, and our lights don't have dimmer switches at that house, so there's no way they could have dimmed. But it's almost like there's like a sphere of darkness that kind of just like came in around us. It's really hard to explain, but both her and I both experienced this sensation of things getting darker, even though the lights were still on and it was nighttime already. So it's like it's because the sun was going behind a cloud or something. It was nighttime, we had the house lights on. And then we heard a growl, like not like a bear or a dog or something, but like a human making a growl sound. And then, like, at that point, obviously, we stopped fighting, and, like, we kind of grabbed each other, like, we grabbed onto each other, because we're like, what's happening? We were both experiencing this phenomenon, and then, like, it just went away. It went back to normal after we like stopped arguing. It was just back to normal. Like the room brightened up again. So that was very interesting because her and I both experienced that, and we neither of us could really come up with a decent explanation of what that could have been. And the last one, this one is, this would have been my sophomore or junior year. This would have been my sophomore or junior year of high school. And a friend of mine was having a house party, and there was probably 25 people at her house, a bunch of teenagers drinking and doing whatever else, and we were, a group of us were in her bedroom, and her room had those, I don't know how to describe it really, but like those strings of beads. It's like it would go across an open doorway, and then it would there'd be multiple strings hanging down, but they're all like full of beads basically. And she had that over her bedroom door. For the purpose of the party, it was these beads in the doorway. And there was probably a group of 5 or 6 of us in her bedroom. And she brought out a Ouija board. And we didn't even open the box. She just brought it out and she sat it down in between the 6 of us in the group. And she was kind of talking about hey, do you guys want to do this? Some people were like, yeah, let's do it. Some people were like, no, I don't want to do it. So it wasn't even out of the box. And as we're having this conversation, all of the beads on the strings all just fell down to the floor. All of them just dozens of these beads fell to the floor. So we kind of did investigation and put the Ouija box away. And decided not to proceed with that. But yeah, that was the extent of that. But those 5 things have happened to me. Those are the only ones I can really think of, are things that I kind of struggle to explain. Now I can think of things rationally. For all of those, what they could, theoretically be. But, just for me personally, I always have a little bit of, was that maybe something not physical, not, of this plane. Now there's 2 more things I want to talk about, but these are things that I don't have, direct experience with. These are second-hand accounts from family members. I have no real reason to believe that these people would be lying or making this up. These are people I've known, obviously, my entire life. But I can't personally verify anything here, but it's an interesting thing. So, my grandfather on my dad's side, he was a house inspector for years and years and years and years. And unfortunately, he was a house inspector while asbestos was being widely used. And towards the end of his life, he had some really bad medical problems because of the asbestos and all the exposure he had over the years. He was extremely frail. He needed help walking, all these sorts of things, and we would come in from time to time and help my grandma and my dad's brothers and stuff take care of him, because they lived a little bit closer. We lived about 2.5 hours away, so we didn't come by as often, but towards the end, we were, helping out how we could. Now, hold on, take a quick sip here. The penultimate day of his life, the second to last day he was alive, we weren't present, or this is what my grandmother tells us, but again, I have no reason to believe my grandma would be lying to me. My grandmother and my grandpa on that side, they were both really into Native American spirituality. My grandma is half Native American. She has a lot of antiques, like tomahawks, peace pipes, moccasins, all like authentic pieces from tribes that are historical pieces. And their bedroom that he was holed up in bed because of his condition. It had this big, great window overlooking a big field. And apparently his second to last day alive, he was staring out the window when my grandma came in to check on him, and she said that he told her that there were a bunch of Native Americans on horseback standing out in the field watching him, and he told her that they were waiting for him, that they were going to take him east. I believe is east or west. I think west. I'm not totally well versed in their religious practices, I'm sorry, but he thought they were there to take him and usher him away. And then the second thing that happened with him, and this is from the account of my cousin on my dad's side, who I don't know as well, but again, I don't have any reason to believe that he would be lying to us. The day that my grandfather died, actually just about 20 minutes after he died, my cousin called my grandmother, and he asked her, he's like, hey, did insert name of my grandpa here come by today? And my grandma said, well, no, he actually just passed away about 20 minutes ago. And my cousin told my grandma that he was working in his office at his house, and my grandpa stepped in the door of his office and gave him a wave and stepped out of the door. And when my cousin got up and left his office to go see, like, why is he here, nobody was in the house. And he said that he was wearing a yellow Hawaiian shirt. And my grandpa actually passed away in bed wearing a yellow Hawaiian shirt. And you see, it's actually got a little bit of goosebumps now, just these stories. And again, obviously, this is all second-hand accounts on my behalf. I was not there. I didn't see any of this. But, yeah. So anyways, those are my ghost stories. That is my experience with the paranormal, the supernatural. Let me know again in the comments if you guys have any sort of stories like this, any sort of incidents in your past, or if you think it's all just a complete, nonsense. Hey, I completely understand that point of view as well, but I do hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. Until next time, guys.